Most e-com brands are making a critical mistake of the browse flow. They are sending them to everyone that's visiting the product pages, which completely destroys their welcome flow strategy because it's confusing to people. They're receiving the welcome flow, they're receiving the browse flow as well. Different messaging, different offers, and it ends up desensitizing them to your emails. But when you set up the browse abandonment flow the right way and syncing it perfectly with the other flows, you can recover lost traffic without cannibalizing your other flows. So let me show you exactly how we do this. Okay, so the browse flow, the goal of the flow is to get people who viewed a product but did not buy, to get them back to that product page and buy that product. Okay, so the browse flow, who is the target audience? They are people who, Okay, so the browse flow, the goal of the browse flow is to recover traffic by sending emails to people who looked at a product page but did not end up buying or did not even click on the add to cart button. So what we want to do with this flow is retarget them, get their interest, build trust, and get them back on site. All right. But if they're not really interested in that product, we also want to show them more product within the email so that we can get their interest in another product if this wasn't the product for them. So before I show you how to build this and the example emails, there is one critical mistake that almost every store is making. You only want the browse flow to send to returning visitors. And by returning visitors, I mean not new traffic. All right, so the new traffic that just opted in inside of the pop-up, those guys are receiving the welcome flow, which is a longer flow. It's going to convert more people. You don't want the browse flow to interfere with the welcome flow. So we are going to be adding a conditional split inside of Klaviyo so that if they are a new visitor, they are going to skip this flow. If they are a returning visitor, this could be a returning visitor that still hasn't bought yet, but they had a look at a campaign or a content email from a flow that we sent, and they came back on site after 14 days. If that's the case, then yes, they can receive the browse flow. But for new visitors, you want to make sure the welcome flow or the checkout flow is prioritized. So now let's have a look at some example emails. This flow, we like to keep it around 3 to 4 emails. The first email is simply acknowledging their action and showing them the product again within the hero section. I'm going to be adding these email examples inside of the description so that you can replicate them for your brand. Okay, then we show a dynamic block. I'm going to insert a video as well on how to build these dynamic blocks inside of Klaviyo without having to do it from scratch. All right, I'm going to show you the easiest way. So that's the hero section. And then just below this, we want to have content that basically answers the question, why this brand? This can be content that builds desire or content that builds trust. Okay. Again, this is content. If you haven't watched the video about our welcome ecosystem where I explain the welcome flow and the endless nurture flow, go and watch that because this content is being dynamically pulled from the endless nurture flow. The second email is a plain text email, simply checking in, saying, hey, it has to be a one-to-one person. Do not use the collective we, all right? It has to be an I. I noticed you were checking out some of our gear. So yeah, just check in, ask if they have any questions and give them a discount, okay? And the reason we are using a plain text email is because if someone has questions about the product or they have a concern, they are less likely to reply to a designed email because they think it's coming from the marketing team. But when it's a plain text email coming from one person, they're just more likely to reply to it. The third email, this one, we like to use a pattern interrupt, something that is quite unique because it's not the first time they are receiving emails, right? So you want to stand out the same way you would want to stand out when you're doing paid ads and with your ad creatives. Similar scenario here. They received a bunch of different emails and we want to give them a unique angle that makes them stop and think. Now, that's the angle that we used. Again, this is going to be inside of the description if you want to copy this. We give them the discount code in a clear dotted line area like this. Okay. Do not make the same mistake as we just did, there should be a button just below here. When we were copying this over, I don't know why the button just disappeared. But make sure there is a button on the top over here. Okay, then show them the product again, and again attach some content from the endless nurture flow that builds trust or builds desire. Once you nail the endless nurture flow, which I explained in the previous video, these flows just become a piece of cake, super easy. And then for the last email, we want to send a design email with a dynamic countdown. Okay, I'm going to attach a video as well on how to build these dynamic countdowns and integrate them with Klaviyo. Dynamic countdowns, let them know clearly it's ending in 24 hours, give them the code, have a big shop now button, show them the product again, and then at the end here, say you might also like, and then use a product feed to show more products. I'm also going to be attaching a video on how to build this inside of Klaviyo. So yeah, for now, let's go ahead inside of Klaviyo and let me show you how to build the actual flow. So you're simply going to go to the flows page, click on create flow, build your own, just name it, all triggers, click on metric, look for viewed product, save this, and then copy the settings which I am going to give you. So after the trigger, click on it. For the profile filters, you want to add the following filters. Checkout started 0 times since starting this flow. Placed order 0 times since starting this flow. Added to cart 0 times since starting this flow. And has not been in this flow in the last 30 days. And have this filter, which I explained in the deliverability video, on how to automatically remove bots and burner accounts. If you haven't watched that video, you need to watch that video. Then you will understand what this filter means. But yes, also have this filter inside of the browse flow. That's for the profile filters. Then after the trigger, you want a conditional split, which is going to prevent new visitors that should be getting the welcome flow from entering this flow. So properties about someone. So add a conditional split from here and do this. Properties about someone created is at least 14 days ago, and then wait 30 minutes if it's a yes. And then here you can build your abandonment emails. Okay, yeah, I'm not going inside of this video, I'm not going to go over building them from scratch because I have a video dedicated on how to implement emails in Klaviyo. You need to watch the video. I also have a video on how to build the dynamic blocks. Also watch that video, it's going to be linked below. And yeah, this is the knowledge you need to build a browse abandonment flow. If you have any questions, let me know down below and I will answer them.